Stop scrolling. Because what I'm about to tell you is exactly why 99% of people stay stuck in life, while a small percentage quietly get ahead. And the truth is uncomfortable. Most people are not failing because they are lazy. They are failing because they are unconsciously living the same weak patterns every single day. And they don't even realize it. Look at the average person's life right now. They wake up tired, even after sleeping. They grab their phone before they even think. They scroll through other people's lives instead of building their own. They postpone important tasks for later. And they end the day wondering where the time went. Day after day, nothing changes. But here's the dangerous part. It doesn't feel like failure. It feels normal. And that's exactly why it's so powerful and so destructive. Because when average becomes normal, growth stops happening. And maybe if you're honest with yourself, you've felt it too. That quiet frustration. That feeling that you're capable of more. But you're not living at that level. You're not broken. You're not unlucky. You're just trapped in habits that keep you comfortable, but small. Seneca warned about this when he said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Because most of your limits are not physical. They are mental. Built from distraction. Built from delay. Built from comfort. And slowly, without noticing, life starts to pass you by. Not in a dramatic moment, but in small everyday decisions. Choosing ease over discipline. Choosing distraction over focus. Choosing comfort over growth. And the worst part? Most people never break out of this cycle. They stay busy, but never become better. Active, but never aligned. Moving, but never progressing. But there is a way out. A different way of thinking. A Stoic mindset. A set of powerful Stoic habits practiced by men like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus. Men who mastered discipline, control, and clarity. And if you stay with me till the end, I'm going to show you exactly how to apply these habits so you stop drifting and start moving ahead of 99% of people. But only if you're serious. Because this is not motivation. This is a reset. Like, subscribe, and stay with me till the end. And before we continue, drop a comment below. I'm ready. Because what you're about to learn will change how you think, act, and live forever. 1. Be ruthless with your time. Most people don't lack talent. They lack respect for time. They scroll. They procrastinate. They delay their own potential. But what makes this dangerous is not what they're doing. It's what they're losing. Every minute wasted is a piece of your life you will never get back. Not later. Not tomorrow. Never. And the truth is, most people treat time like it's unlimited. They say things like, "I'll start next week. I still have time. I'll figure it out later." But later is where dreams go to die. Because later turns into months. Months turn into years. And years turn into regret. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Think about that. It's not that life is short. It's that we make it short through distraction. Look at your average day. How much time do you actually spend building your future? And how much do you spend escaping it? Scrolling. Watching. Waiting. Avoiding. That's not rest. That's unconscious living. And unconscious living is what keeps people average. Because winners don't have more time than you. They just use it differently. They treat time like it's valuable, because it is. They understand something most people ignore. Time is your only non-renewable asset. Money can be lost and regained. Opportunities can come again. Even relationships can be rebuilt. But time? Once it's gone, it's gone. Forever. That's why Stoics lived with urgency. Not panic, but awareness. They didn't rush blindly. They moved intentionally. They asked better questions. Not, "What do I feel like doing today?" But, "What actually matters today?" Because when you start asking that question, your behavior changes. You begin to notice how much time you waste. You begin to feel uncomfortable doing nothing meaningful. You begin to outgrow distractions. And that's when your life starts to shift. Because discipline with time creates momentum. And momentum creates results. Let's make this practical. Imagine two people. One wakes up and immediately checks their phone. They scroll for an hour. They react to notifications. They drift into the day without direction. The other wakes up with intention. They know what matters. They focus. They execute. Same 24 hours. Completely different outcomes. That's the difference between being busy and being effective. And here's the truth most people avoid. You don't need more time. You need more discipline with the time you already have. Because if you had 30 hours in a day, but still lacked discipline, you would waste those too. That's why Stoicism focuses on control. Control over your actions. Control over your habits. Control over your time. Not perfectly, but consistently. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you're choosing a weaker version of yourself. Every time you delay what matters, you reinforce the habit of delay. That's how people slowly become average. Not through one big failure, but through repeated small compromises. And the scary part? It feels harmless in the moment. Just one more scroll. Just one more delay. Just one more excuse. But those small decisions compound. And one day, you look back and realize you didn't run out of time. You wasted it. That's why you must become ruthless. Not with people. Not with life. But with your time. Protect it. Guard it. Use it with intention. Because every hour you invest wisely is a step closer to the life most people only dream about. So a Stoic asks daily, is this worth my life? Not. Is this fun? Not. Is this easy? But, is this worth the limited time I have on this earth? That question alone can change everything. If you master your time, you automatically get ahead of 99% of people. 2. Focus only on what truly matters. Most people are busy, but not productive. They wake up with energy, but waste it on things that don't matter. They chase everything. Money, attention, validation, distractions, and end up achieving nothing meaningful. Because being busy is easy. Real focus? That's rare. And that's why most people never get ahead. They confuse movement with progress. They feel productive, but they're not moving forward. Let that sink in. You can be doing a lot and still be going nowhere. That's the trap. And it's everywhere. Notifications pulling your attention. Social media demanding your focus. Other people's opinions influencing your decisions. You start your day with a plan and end it reacting to everything except your priorities. And slowly, you lose control. Not because you're weak, but because you're unfocused. But the Stoic mindset is different. It is selective. It understands that not everything deserves your attention. Marcus Aurelius said, "You can leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." That's not fear. That's clarity. Because when you truly understand that your time is limited, you stop wasting it on meaningless things. You stop arguing over nonsense. You stop chasing approval. You stop entertaining distractions. And you start focusing on what actually matters. But here's the challenge. Most people don't even know what matters to them. They follow trends. They follow people. They follow noise, instead of defining their own path. That's why they feel lost. Because without clarity, focus is impossible. So the first step is simple, but powerful. Decide what matters. Not what looks good. Not what impresses others. But what actually moves your life forward. Your growth. Your discipline. Your purpose. Everything else? Secondary. And once you're clear on that, you must protect your focus. Because focus is fragile. It takes seconds to break. an effort to rebuild. That's why successful people are ruthless with distractions. They don't try to do everything. They do fewer things better. They say no more often. They eliminate unnecessary noise. They simplify their lives. Because they understand something powerful. What you focus on grows. If you focus on distractions, your life becomes scattered. If you focus on progress, your life becomes intentional. And here's where most people fail. They don't lack ability. They lack direction. They start something. Then switch. Then switch again. Always chasing something new. But never mastering anything. That's not growth. That's confusion. Real progress requires depth. Staying focused long enough to see results. And that requires discipline. Because your mind will constantly try to escape effort. It will look for easier options. Faster rewards. Instant gratification. But Stoicism teaches resistance. It teaches you to stay with what matters. Even when it's hard. Even when it's boring. Even when results are slow. Because that's where real growth happens. In consistency. In repetition. In focus. So instead of asking, "What should I do today?" ask, "What actually matters, and deserves my full attention?" And once you have that answer, eliminate everything else. Because every distraction you remove increases your power. Every unnecessary thing you cut sharpens your focus. And over time, that focus becomes your advantage. While others are scattered, you are precise. While others are distracted, you are locked in. While others are busy, you are effective. You don't need more time. You need better focus. Like, subscribe, and stay with me till the end. And before we continue, drop a comment below. I'm ready. 3. Embrace discomfort. It builds power. Stay with me till the end, because this is where most people fall off. Because what I'm about to tell you goes against everything modern life teaches you. People today are addicted to comfort. Everything is designed to make life easier. Faster food. Easier entertainment. Instant results. Zero resistance. And slowly, without noticing, people begin to fear discomfort. They avoid hard conversations. They avoid difficult work. They avoid discipline. They avoid anything that feels uncomfortable. But here's the truth most people never realize. Comfort doesn't make you stronger. It makes you fragile. Because a life without resistance produces a mind without resilience. And when reality finally becomes difficult, as it always does, most people break. Not because life is unfair, but because they were never trained for difficulty. This is why Stoicism is so powerful. Because Stoicism is not built in comfort. It is built in resistance. Seneca understood this deeply. He didn't just write about philosophy. He lived it. He practiced what many would call voluntary discomfort. He would sleep on hard surfaces instead of soft beds. He would fast even when food was available. He would intentionally expose himself to discomfort. Not because he wanted suffering, but because he wanted strength. Because he understood something most people don't. If you can survive discomfort by choice, you will never be destroyed by discomfort through life. Think about that. Life will always bring pain, rejection, failure, uncertainty, loss, pressure. You cannot avoid it. But you can train for it. And that is where real power is built. When you deliberately step into discomfort, you are no longer surprised by it. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop breaking under pressure. You start adapting. And over time, something shifts inside you. Things that used to feel hard become normal. Things that used to scare you lose their power. Things that used to break you now strengthen you. That is transformation. And here's the difference between average people and strong people. Average people negotiate with discomfort. Strong people accept it. Average people ask, "How can I avoid this?" Strong people ask, "What can this build in me?" Because discomfort is not punishment. It is training. Every hard task you avoid weakens your discipline. Every hard task you face builds your identity. And identity is everything. Because you do not rise to your goals, you fall to your level of training. So if you constantly choose comfort, you train yourself to be weak. But if you choose discomfort, you train yourself to be unstoppable. That's why discipline always feels uncomfortable at first. Waking up early, working when you're tired, saying no when you want to say yes, continuing when you want to quit. It all feels heavy in the beginning. But that heaviness is the resistance building strength inside you. Just like lifting weights tears muscle fibers so they grow back stronger. Discomfort builds mental strength in the same way. And the more you face it, the less control fear has over you. Because fear only survives in avoidance. Once you confront discomfort repeatedly, fear loses authority. And that is freedom. Not the freedom to do what feels easy, but the freedom to do what is difficult without hesitation. That is what Stoicism teaches. Not comfort. Not escape. But mastery over difficulty. So the next time life gives you an uncomfortable choice, don't run from it. Don't delay it. Don't avoid it. Step into it. Because on the other side of discomfort is a stronger version of you waiting to be built. If you avoid hard things, you stay weak. If you embrace them, you become unstoppable. 4. Speak less, observe more. Stay with me till the end, because this habit alone will make you different from 99% of people. And I don't mean slightly different. I mean noticeably dangerous in a quiet, controlled way. Because most people today are not thinking clearly. They are speaking too much. They talk to fill silence. They talk to impress others. They talk to feel important. They talk without thinking. And in doing so, they reveal everything. Their plans, their insecurities, their emotions, their next move. But here's what they don't realize. The more you speak, the more you expose. The more you expose, the more control you lose. And control is what separates strong people from average people. Because Stoics understood something powerful. Words are expensive. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Once revealed, they cannot be hidden. Once exposed, they become leverage for others. That's why discipline in speech is discipline in life. Epictetus captured this perfectly when he said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But this is not just about talking less. It is about becoming an observer of life. Because when you observe more than you speak, you start seeing reality more clearly. You notice patterns others miss. You understand people faster. You read situations with accuracy. You detect intentions before they are spoken. And this creates something powerful. Awareness. Most people live inside noise. Constant talking. Constant reacting. Constant emotional expression. But the Stoic lives differently. The Stoic listens. The Stoic watches. The Stoic thinks before responding. And that space between stimulus and response, that is where intelligence is built. Because when you stop reacting immediately, you start choosing your responses. And when you choose your responses, you gain control over your life. Let's go deeper. People who talk too much often do it for validation. They want approval. They want recognition. They want to be seen as important. But the paradox is, the more you try to prove yourself through words, the less powerful you become. Because real power does not announce itself. It reveals itself through action. That's why truly disciplined people speak less. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand the value of silence. Silence creates mystery. Silence creates authority. Silence creates presence. When you speak less, people listen more when you finally speak. And when you observe more, you become harder to manipulate. Because manipulation requires ignorance. And observation removes ignorance. You begin to see intentions behind words. You notice shifts in behavior. You detect patterns in people's actions. And this makes you calm. Not emotional. Not reactive. Not easily influenced. Just aware. And awareness is power. Because while others are busy talking, you are learning. While others are busy reacting, you are understanding. While others are exposing themselves, you are studying everything silently. That is the Stoic advantage. And over time, it changes how people see you. You become the person who doesn't overshare. The person who doesn't panic. The person who doesn't react emotionally. The person who speaks with intention. And in a world full of noise, that kind of presence stands out. So the lesson is simple. Speak less when it's not needed. Observe more than you express. Think before you respond. Because in silence, you gain control. And in observation, you gain wisdom. Silence is not weakness. It's power. And if you're getting value right now, like, subscribe, and stay with me till the end. 5. Live with purpose, or drift like everyone else. This is the habit that truly separates the 1% from the 99%. And if you understand nothing else from this video, understand this. Most people are not failing because they are incapable. They are failing because they are directionless. They are not weak. They are unfocused. They are not unlucky. They are unaligned. They are drifting. No direction. No mission. No purpose. Just repetition. Wake up. Scroll. Work. Eat. Sleep. Repeat. Day after day. Week after week. Year after year. And slowly, without realizing it, life passes them by. Not in a dramatic way, but in a silent way. No collapse. No big failure. Just quiet disappearance of potential. And that is the most dangerous kind of failure. Because when you fail loudly, you notice. But when you drift silently, you don't. And most people don't even realize they are drifting until years later. When they look back and ask, "How did I end up here?" But the truth is, it was never one decision. It was thousands of small directionless ones. And this is where Stoicism draws a sharp line. Because Stoics do not drift. They live intentionally. Every action has direction. Every decision has weight. Every day has purpose. Seneca said, "If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Think about that deeply. You can have talent. You can have opportunity. You can have time. But without direction, even good conditions become useless. Because you will not know where to go. And that is why most people feel stuck. Not because life is blocking them, but because they have no clear destination. Purpose is not just motivation. Purpose is alignment. It tells you what to say yes to. It tells you what to say no to. It tells you what to focus on. It tells you what to ignore. Without purpose, everything looks important. With purpose, only a few things matter. And that shift changes everything. Because once you know what matters, you stop wasting energy on what doesn't. You stop chasing every opportunity. You stop entertaining every distraction. You stop living reactively. And you start living deliberately. Now here's something most people don't realize. Purpose doesn't always appear fully formed. It is built through action, through discipline, through exploration, through self-awareness, through trial and correction. You don't find purpose by thinking endlessly. You find it by doing, by testing, by failing, by learning, by adjusting. And over time, clarity begins to form. What used to feel random becomes structured. What used to feel confusing becomes clear. What used to feel chaotic becomes aligned. And once alignment happens, everything changes. Because now your energy is no longer scattered. It is focused. Your mind becomes calmer. Your actions become sharper. Your decisions become easier. Why? Because you are no longer guessing. You are guided. And that is what most people are missing. They are busy, but not directed. Active, but not aligned. Moving, but not progressing. And that's why they feel empty even when they are working hard. Because effort without direction leads to exhaustion, not fulfillment. But when effort meets purpose, everything becomes meaningful. Even difficulty. Even struggle. Even failure. Because now, every challenge has context. Every obstacle has meaning. Every setback becomes part of a larger path. And that is what Stoicism teaches. Not random action, but intentional living. Not emotional reaction, but purposeful direction. And when you live this way long enough, something powerful happens. You stop comparing yourself to others. Because you are no longer living their life. You are living yours. You stop chasing validation. Because you are no longer lost. You are grounded. You stop fearing failure. Because failure is no longer the end. It is feedback. And this is where the 1% are formed. Not through perfection, but through clarity and consistency. Now ask yourself honestly, are you living with purpose? Or are you just reacting to life? Because there is a massive difference between the two. One leads to direction. The other leads to drift. One builds identity. The other dissolves it. One creates strength. The other creates confusion. And the choice is made daily. Not once. Every morning you either choose purpose, or you choose drift. And the direction of your life is built from that repetition. The moment you find your purpose, you stop living randomly, and start living powerfully. Now step back and look at everything. 5 Stoic habits. Be ruthless with your time. Focus only on what truly matters. Embrace discomfort to build strength. Speak less and observe more. Live with purpose or drift like everyone else. This is not theory. This is a system. A way of living that separates discipline from distraction. Clarity from confusion. Strength from weakness. And the truth is, most people will hear this, feel inspired, and do nothing. They will return to distraction. Return to comfort. Return to drift. But a small percentage will decide differently. They will take one habit and apply it. Then another and apply it. And slowly, their life will begin to shift. Not overnight, but through consistency. Through discipline. Through Stoic action. Because as Marcus Aurelius reminds us through his philosophy, a man's life is what his thoughts make of it. And if your thoughts change, your actions change. And if your actions change, your life changes. So don't just watch this video and move on. Take action. Start today. Pick one Stoic habit and commit to it. And if you are serious about changing your life, subscribe to this channel for more Stoic mindset content that builds real discipline and mental strength. And comment below. How do you intend to put all 5 Stoic habits to work in your life? I read every comment. Because the difference between the 99% and the 1% is not knowledge. It is execution. Stay disciplined. Stay focused. And stay stoic.